Hello everyone. Today in this video lecture we shall discuss regarding the steps that are involved in hearing mechanism. Okay, so now a sound is generated, sound waves are generated, and they has to be bombarding on the ears, and these sound waves will be conveyed into the uh, middle ear. So from the middle ear, it has to be conveyed to the internal ear. In the internal ear, there is an organ of hearing, and this organ of hearing, there are sound wave sensitive cells that are present, and because of the bombarding of the sound waves, and vibrations, there is generation of the action potential, and this action potential or the nerve impulse has to travel to the uh, auditory cortex that is present in the brain, where the interpretation of these sound wave takes place, and you will be understanding what exactly you are hearing. Okay, so these are the steps that are involved in physiology of hearing. In this video lecture today, we shall try to understand them one by one. Let us get started. Now, before starting with the mechanism behind hearing, it is very important for us to understand the structure of the ear. Okay, so I'll just in few minutes I'll try to explain the structure of the ear so that it will be easy for you all to understand the mechanism behind hearing. Okay, now here is divided into three important portions. Remember, students, for you the question will be on the physiological aspect of hearing, not on the structural aspect of hearing, but just to make you understand better, so I'll be discussing the structural aspect. Now, see, if you look at this part, now this is the external ear, and this the middle ear, and this is the internal ear. Okay, so here, this part we shall be concentrating more, because there the sound waves are converted into neuronal impulse. So in this picture, you can see the sound wave is entering, and here we have a tympanic membrane which vibrates and transmits the signal to the ear ossicles. We all know there are three ear ossicles: malleus, incus, and there is stapes. And through these ear ossicles, the sound vibrations are conveyed to the round window that is present, and these sound vibrations will be conveyed to the cochlear organ. And what exactly is the mechanism present here to make you hear? So let us see. And in this picture, you can clearly see there is in different colors they have shown external, middle, and internal. Now, so inner ear, if you consider, as we have seen in the previous picture, so this is the inner ear we are talking about. This portion we are talking about. You can see there is upper blue portion, lower blue portion. There's a brown portion here. There's a green portion. Let us try to understand what they are. Now, this inner ear, it is also called as a labyrinth. Okay, so this labyrinth, what is its role? First of all, primary role of this labyrinth is hearing, and it also helps in um, checking out or maintaining the balance of the body. Now, the labyrinth or internal ear has two important portions: bony labyrinth and a membranous labyrinth. Okay, so in between the bony and membranous labyrinth, there is perilymph, and the membranous labyrinth is filled with the endolymph. Now, if you look at the bony labyrinth, it has mainly three parts: vestibule, cochlea, and semilunar canals. So you can show you the picture. So this is the semilunar canals, this is the vestibule, and this is the cochlea. This snail-like portion is called cochlea. This is the vestibule, and these are the semilunar canals. Now, the semilunar canals and the vestibule play an important role in balance. You can see here how exactly they consist of sensitive cells, and these sensitive cells can sense the balance of the body. And this organ is very, very important for us, the cochlear organ, snail like organ, which contains the organ of hearing. Okay. Now, this is the organ of hearing. Now, the membranous labyrinth, which is embedded inside the bony labyrinth, again, it consists of two important parts. Number one, vestibule and cochlea. So, the membranous labyrinth consists of two important parts, that is, vestibule and cochlea. Vestibule has a utricle and saccule. They contain sensory cells which can sense the balance of the body. Now, in this video lecture, we are more interested in the snail-like structure called cochlea. Okay, so let us see the structure of cochlea. Now, okay, so we shall look at the picture so that it will be easier for us to understand the structure of cochlea. Now, see, in this picture, you can easily understand this is the cochlear part where it is straightened. The upper chamber is called scala vestibuli. The lower chamber is called scala tympani. In between the upper and the lower chamber, there is a tunnel-like structure called a scala media. Now, the scala vestibuli and scala tympani, they are filled with beryllium. So, this is important for you to understand the steps of hearing. And the scala media is filled with endolymph. So here and here there is beryllium present, and in this portion there is endolymph. Okay, and this is the structure of the cochlea. And the cochlea, see here you can see some minute structures that are present on the membrane here, and these are the organ of hearing. Okay, and this is the round window, and this is the oval window. So the previous slides we have seen scala vestibuli ends at the oval window. So this is the oval window which is connected to the ear ossicles. Okay, let us move on. Now this is the organ of Corti, uh, that is the organ of hearing. When we take a section of it, the upper chamber, as we have studied just now, this is called scala vestibuli, and this is the scala tympani. And here, in the previous picture, the minute structures which are shown organ of hearing, this is the organ of corti. Okay, and this membrane is called resinous membrane, which separates the scala vestibuli from scala media, and this membrane is called basilar membrane, which separates the scala tympani from scala media. Okay, now this is the ear of this is the organ of hearing called as the organ of Corti. It mainly consists of what are known as the hair cells. Okay, these are the modified neuronal cells which are sensitive for vibrations, and these are the hair cells. Importantly, they consist of, in this portion you can see hairs are present, and whenever the sound vibrations are created, these hair cells are very sensitive to them, and this will be able to touch with the membrane known as tectorial membrane. Okay, so there is a tectorial membrane here, hair cells, and there are supporting cells that are present at the base of the hair cells, and all these hair cells, they are supplied with the nerve fibers, and all of them connect to the auditory nerve, vestibulocochlear nerve, eighth cranial nerve. It is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Now let us, so with this background of structure of the ear, let us get started how exactly the mechanism of hearing takes place. Now, as we have seen in the previous picture, the sound wave enters into the ear pinna. From ear pinna, it is conveyed through the auditory meatus, and it converts onto the tympanic membrane. You can see it strikes onto the tympanic membrane, and tympanic membrane vibrates, and this vibration depends on the pitch or frequency of the sound wave that is entering into the ear. Now, this vibration in the tympanic membrane is again conveyed to malleus, incus, and stapes, which are called as the ear ossicles. Now, these ear ossicles vibrate, and the vibrations will be conveyed to the oval window. So, now you look at the previous picture. Now, see the sound wave entered here, it strike down to the tympanic membrane present here, and vibrations of the tympanic membrane conveyed to malleus, incus, and stapes, and now it is conveyed to the oval window. Now, if you all remember, the oval window is connected to the scala vestibuli, which is filled with the perilymph. Let us see what happens next. So oval window. So as we have seen in the picture, the oval window is continuous with what is known as the perilymph that is present inside the scala vestibule. In this picture, you can see sound waves entering in. This is the tympanum vibrating and movement of the cochlear fluid, that is the perilymph, and as a result, the vibrations will be conveyed further to the organ of hearing. Let us see what happens in the. I'll come back to this flow chart again. Now, the scarlet tympani and vestibuli, they are connected at a portion called as helicodrama, and as a result, the vibrations of in the perilymph of scala vestibuli are conveyed to the scala tympani. Okay, and from there, these vibrations are conveyed to the endolymph that is present, and due to the vibrations in the endolymph, the vestibular membrane starts vibrating. Okay, and the vestibular membrane vibrations are further led to the vibrations in the basilar membrane. Now, very important, vibration in the basilar membrane results in movement of the organ of Corti. So, if you remember, the organ of Corti consists of hair cells. Just in the previous picture, we have seen this one. So, this is the basilar membrane. On the basilar membrane, there are hair cells present. Now, vibrations created here creates vibration here, and these hairs will touch the tectorial membrane. You can see here the hair cells to move against the tectorial membrane. That means they touch the tectorial membrane. Okay. Now there is, so due to the touching of the tectorial membrane, there is a consistent bending in the hairs of the hair cell. This bending of the hair cell results in production of the action potential. Now, how this action potential is generated? The action potential is generated due to the um, conversion of hyperpolarized state cell to depolarization. How it happens? This happens. Just I'll explain here. Now, see, at rest, the cells or the hair cells are in hyperpolarized state. Now, due to the bending of the hair cell, the hyperpolarized state gets depolarized. How it happens? And this happens due to the entry of potassium ions. Once there is bending of the hair cells, that results in opening out of the potassium channels into the hair cells. As a result, the potassium ions starts, due to the potassium channel opens up, the potassium ions starts entering into the hair cells. So, but once the potassium ion starts entering in, this results in depolarizing the hair cells uh, from hyperpolarized state. On the other hand, at the base of the hair cells, there is also entry of the calcium ions. So, entry of the potassium ions and entry of the calcium ions, now there is potential change. This results in formation of the action potential. Now, there is, due to the entry of the calcium ions, there is also release of neurotransmitter. This neurotransmitter is very, very essential to convey the message between the hair cells or the modified neuronal cells. And this neuronal impulse has to travel to the auditory nerve, and this auditory nerve carry the impulse to the brain where the sound waves are interpreted. Okay, in the auditory center of the brain. Now, let us go back to the pictures as I have told you. See, here, so the sound waves are entering, vibrates the tympanum, conveyed to the ear ossicles that are present here. and from the ear ossicles, the vibrations are conveyed to the oval window, and from the oval window, the vibrations are conveyed to the perilimb, from the perilimb to the endolimb. As a result, the vibrations in the vestibular membrane are conveyed to the basal membrane. The basal membrane consists of what? Organ of Corti. This organ of Corti has hair cells, right? And these hair cells vibrate and they touch the tectorial membrane. This results in bending of the hairs of the hair cell. Now, bending of the hairs of the hair cell results in entry of potassium ions into the hair cell, and this entry of potassium ions results in the hyperpolarized cell becoming depolarized. Okay, so that means the potential, negative potential starts reducing. As a result, the hair cell potential becomes depolarized. Now, this depolarization forms an action potential which will be conveyed to the auditory nerve, which carries it to the auditory center in the brain. Now, how the carrying of the impulse takes place in this picture, you can see the hair cochlear region where there is organ of hearing. Nerve impulse generated travels to the brain stem. In the brain stem, trapezoid body. From the trapezoid body, it goes to the reticular formation, and from there, finally, it ends up in the auditory cortex, where the interpretation of the sound waves takes place. Okay, so this is what students the mechanism of hearing. First, try to understand the structure, especially the structure of the internal ear, and then you can just go through the physiological aspects of hearing. Okay, so thank you all for watching.